Vyapti is very important thing. And another very important thing is that the reason must be valid. The reason must be valid means it has got two very important places. One is that Vyapti, the reason Dhuma, it should have the Vyapti with the smoke that is going to be inferred. And another thing is it should be in the proper place. If smoke is there in kitchen, it does not guarantee the fire in the mountain. So there should be smoke in the mountain, then only we can infer the fire in the mountain. So it should be in proper place. So these are very important things in the structure of Anumana. There is a difference between the Western model, maybe Aristotelian model, and the Mimamsakas model, maybe Buddha's model, and also other Vedantins model. Though all these people, they understand and they hold that these kinds of parts are needed, the sentence structure is needed, there is a difference of opinion between all of them.
I invite Acharya Veernarayan Pandurangi ji, who hails from the Pandurangi family that has contributed highly to the development of philosophies of Dvaita Vedanta and Nyaya for the last 700 years. He is the author of Vishwa Varchana Commentary on Rig Veda, being published from 2022. So I welcome Acharya Veernarayan Pandurangi ji.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. ओष्ठापिधाना नकुली दन्तैः परिवृता पविः सर्वस्यै वाचईशाना चारुमामिह वादये हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे. So my subject is structural logic or the structures of our Anumana. How do we define, how the Nyaya philosophy defines the Anumana? Because you are unriddling the inference, we understand how this Anumana works. From the view of Nyaya philosophy, we have the four Pramanas, Pratyaksha Anumana, Upamana and Agama. Among them, this Anumana is very important. And somebody joked, 40,000 pages are written on Anumana Pramana. Maybe true, may not be true. Anumana has got prominence in the Nyaya philosophy, both in Prachina Nyaya and Navina Nyaya. But whatever the advance that we have in the Navina Nyaya till 17th, 18th century, the structure of the Anumana, Parartha Anumana is same as we find it in the Nyaya Sutra and Nyaya Bhashya. It shows the structures and the strength of the thinkings of our ancient Indian rishis. For example, we have the two kinds of inferences. One is Swartha Anuman. When somebody himself is inferring, he is thinking something. He does not need to use any word to show something. It is for himself. He is looking at the fact and analyzing and getting to some conclusion. It is the Swartha Anuman, the Anumana for himself. Whereas the Parartha Anumana, we have a very formal structure, how to convince the audience or convince the opponent, convince Shishya for the Paropadesha. That's why it is Parartha Anumana. Paropadesha means he is showing something to others. That's why it is called as Parartha Anumana. To show something or convince something to others, we need to have formal structures of sentences. That is called as this avayavas, Parartha Anumana, and it has got avayavas, parts. And parts are 5 sentences used in the Nyaya philosophy. Pratijna, Hetu, Udaharana, Upanaya, Nigamana. And at the same time, Vaisheshikas have different names for the same 5 parts. Pratijna, Apadeshu, Nidarshana, Anusandhana, Pratyamnaya. So this is the formal way of seeing the Parartha Anumana. But before we see the Parartha Anumana, we need to have the understanding of how this Parartha Anumana works. It all works on the strength of Vyapti. Vyapti is the invariable relationship between 2 things. For example, we see the smoke and fire. Whenever there is a smoke, we can infer there is a fire, because there is no deviance of this kind of relation. There is no smoke without fire. So this is the famous saying goes, there will not be smoke without fire. So this relation is very important. And we have many ways to understand the relation. That is also very important thing. How do we understand, how do we get the Vyapti Grahana? Once we have the Vyapti Grahana, then we can show it to the people. So how this Vyapti is understood? For example, Nyaya has a way we can understand Vyapti by Pratyaksha, by Anumana, or by Agama also, by Shabda also. Because for the Shabda Gamya Vyapti, they say you should not touch a cow by feet. Whichever is cow should not be touched by our feet. No inference or no pratyaksha, no perception can give idea, rise of such a Vyapti. Because it is, you may think it is a matter of faith or whatever, but it is one kind of Vyapti that we get from the Agama. And from the Anumana, there is a way that I will come back. And for the Pratyaksha, how Pratyaksha gets you Vyapti, how we perceive the Vyapti from Pratyaksha. It is very important thing, and that is the famous example, whereas there is wherever there is a smoke, there is a fire. That is famous place where we see the Vyapti. He goes to kitchen, he goes to Yajnishala, he goes to many other places where there is smoke and there is fire. So he gets understanding of the relation between smoke and fire. But still he is not sure about the invariability of the Vyapti, this relation. Then he goes to see some conditions that define the Vyapti. For example, if I reverse the order of our Vyapti, wherever there is fire, there is smoke. Is it possible? Wherever there is a fire, there is smoke. It is not possible, because we have got all these fires here, tube light and all other thing. It is a kind of fire. And Nayayikas, they gave one more example. Hot iron. Hot iron has got fire, but there is no smoke. The smoke means which is enough to infer the fire. When there is a enough smoke is going up, then surely we can infer that there is a fire. Otherwise, if very small part of smoke does not make much difference. So wherever there is fire, there is a smoke. We cannot have this kind of Vyapti, because there is a condition. What is the condition? Only if there is a wet wood, then there would be smoke. Otherwise, there would be no smoke. There is a fire, but there is no smoke, because there is no wet firewood or something else. If we put the paper also, wet paper, it creates smoke like that. So this condition is called as Upadhi. Only if there is a wet firewood, there would be this kind of Vyapti. Otherwise, there could be no Vyapti. Fire and smoke. So he goes to find such a condition here in the Vyapti of smoke and fire, but he does not find one. To his best of his capacity, best of his examination. The case of fire and smoke, we see wherever there is fire, there is no wet wood. But wherever there is a smoke, there is this wet firewood. So that is the one condition that is more related with the later one, the Vyapaka, the smoke. So the absence of firewood paves the way of absence of the smoke. But in the case of smoke and fire, there is no such condition which has got more relation with the fire. Only if that condition happens, then this fire could be there. Otherwise, there could be no fire. There is no such condition. So this, to best of his ability, or he goes everywhere to find the confirm his Vyapti, he goes and finally he does not find a condition. Then his Vyapti becomes unconditional. So that is Nyaya view, Anupadhika Sambandha. This condition is called as Upadhi, and when there is no such condition, it becomes unconditional Vyapti. So with this kind of unconditional Vyapti, he goes on to infer. Whenever he sees smoke in the fire mountain, then certainly he will be able to conclude that there is a fire there. But he is not using word for inferring for himself, but whenever he goes to convince somebody else, then certainly he needs this Panchavyavakas. That's why we have these things. Pakshavachanam Pratijna, Parvatah Agniman. This mountain has got fire. Here, the mountain is the substance where fire is predicate. We are saying that this fire is there on the mountain, in the mountain. So this is the first part of the Panchavyavakas, Pakshavachanam Pratijna. And then why this mountain has got fire? We need reasoning. What is the reason? Reason is because of there is a smoke. There is a smoke. Smoke is the linga. It is called as linga. It is a sign of fire. But it is not Hetu, because Hetu is a sentence according to Nyaya. Pratijna is one sentence, Hetu is another sentence, which is in the form of because of the fire, because of the smoke. We need to use some indicative of the reasoning. It is being reason of inferring something else. Sadhanatva khyapaka vibhaktyantam. Either you may use tritiya or panchami, इसके कारण इसके होने से ऐसे हो रहा है. So that is the case of Hetu. And Udaharana is again, it is normally it is understood as example, but here it is a sentence. This is sentence of exemplification that we can say. Udaharana, when we show something, an instance where there is a smoke and there is a fire, so that kind of sentence that we need to show example, that is called as Udaharana here. That Udaharana can be both positive and negative. Accordingly, whenever there is a positive Vyapti or negative Vyapti. The positive Vyapti and negative Vyapti are also well known. When there is a smoke, there is a fire, it is positive Vyapti. We are inferring, we are having a relation between two things, two positive things, smoke and fire. And vice versa, we can have the negative relation also. If there is no fire, there is no smoke. absence of fire and absence of smoke, they are related. That is called as negative Vyapti, Vitareka Vyapti. Vitareka is negation. So, both we have the exemplification of both kinds, the Anvaya Udaharana and Vitareka Udaharana. Whoever is having smoke, it is having fire, it is kind of positive exemplification. And another, Yaha Agniman Nabhavati, Saha Dhumavan Nabhavati. It is kind of passive exemplification. Mahahradaha, like a pond, it does not have fire, does not have smoke also. So this is the Udaharana. And Upanaya, again bringing to the context. You have shown the example and Vyapti have shown. Now you are coming to the context again. Parvataha Dhumavan. Mahanasaiva Parvatopi Dhumavan. Like a kitchen, this mountain has got smoke. It is bringing again recollecting the same thing. It is the Upanaya. Upanaya means it is bringing to the context. And then you go for the conclusion. That is called as Nigamana. Nigamana is famous word for the conclusion, where you are going to conclude that because there is a smoke, this mountain has got fire. So this is the structure of this Panchavyavakyas. Here we end the 5 sentences, 5 parts of the syllogism. And the very importance why these things are needed. There is a difference between the Western model, maybe Aristotelian model, and the Mimamsakas model, maybe Buddha's model, and also other Vedantins model. Though all these people, they understand and they hold that these kinds of parts are needed, the sentence structure is needed, there is a difference of opinion between all of them, whether the 5 sentences are needed or 3 are enough, 2 are enough. Like that, there are many other different views. And also in the Nyaya itself, people used to, earlier Nayayikas, they used to have 10 sentences. Apart from these 5, there were 5 more sentences. But Nyaya Bhashya itself, it has rejected this view that it is not the all these other 5 elements, though they are in the context, they are needed, but they are not part of the sentence structure. So they rejected all these things. Jidnyasa, Samshaya, Shakya Prapti, Prayojana and Samshaya Vidasa. These are all the consequential effects of the Anumana rather than the structures of the parts of the structure of the Anumana. For example, you have the desire to know, Jidnyasa, and you have got doubt, Samshaya, and Shakya Prapti, understanding the thing. And then you have got the Prayojana, Samshaya Vidasa, removing all your doubts. So these are all the consequences of the structure of the Anumana, not the part of this Anumana. That is what early Nayayikas they held. Then we have seen all these things, and Nyaya Bhashya discusses these things very well. What is the necessity of all these sentences? All our knowledge is not something isolated. Knowledge is not isolated. It is a full structure comprising of many parts of our different elements of our knowledge, of our human cognition, human impressions, all these things are there. For example, the Pratyaksha itself, it is all discussed in the Nyaya, Vartika, Tatparya Tika and all other things. How we get the cognition that this person is sitting here. This is the word we use, and this man we use the word, and he is sitting. How do we understand? What are the elements in these cognitions, perceptions? At least they recognize some 3 to 4 different stages in the arisal of this kind of perception itself. That's why they have got the Nirvikalpaka and Savikalpaka. When we see something for the first time, of course, we are used to see humans from the very beginning. But if somebody sees the human for the first time, he will not understand what is human. He sees only something hands, but he does not know the names of hand and also legs. So for the first time somebody sees a new machine, will not understand what is the thing. That is called as, without the recognition of name and the formal universal property of the thing, that is all called as Nirvikalpaka. Whereas when we are used to think all these things and we recognize the universal, we recognize the name, then these kinds of knowledges are called as Savikalpaka Jnana. So in the same manner, Anumana also works in the same manner as Nyaya Bhashya outlines. For example, when we are saying Parvataha Vanniman, it is more or less, it is the realm of Shabda. We are using the Shabda. This mountain has got fire. What is this thing? It is not the cognition that you have got still, because you are still on the process of understanding something through the inference, through the Vyapti. So first you have used only these words, Parvataha Vanniman, Parvataha Agniman. This is only Shabda Vishaya Pratijna. What this Nyaya Bhashikara says. Then the inferential part is only on the second part, Dhumavatvat. That is the Anumana part only. Because we see because there is a smoke, we use our reasoning there only. That is called as Anumanam Hetu. Then we go to the Udaharana, where this Udaharana has got with, it is Pratyaksha again. Udaharana, we go to the kitchen, we see both smoke and fire. It is not inference, it is not simple words. We are seeing it, work of Pratyaksha. Again, we are coming to the conclusion, Upamanam Upanaya. We are making the similarities between the kitchen and the mountain. It is Upamana. The mountain is similar to the kitchen because it has got fire, it has got the smoke, then it must have fire also. It is the way he makes kitchen mountain similar to the kitchen. So it has got the element of Upamana. Then you are concluding at the end, that is Nigamana. So in the formal structure of this Panchavyavaka, you have got all the Pramanas here. It is one thing. And why do we need all these 5 elements? It is also another matter. Why we need Pratijna? Why do you need have a such Parvataha? This mountain has got fire. Why such a sentence is needed? Because if you don't put the matter into the public, nobody will be able to understand. There is no way of using a reason for the fire. If nobody is worried about fire in the mountain, then why should we use because there is a smoke, and because whenever there is a smoke, there is a fire. We need not use all this Udaharana and Upanaya. That's why we need to put the Pratijna first. When we have the Pratijna, then this matter is put into the public and the person understand in front of us. Then certainly there will be query why. Then we use the Dhumavatva, because of there is a smoke, there must be fire. And then we go to the why, if there is a smoke, why should there be fire? Then we need to show the Vyapti, relation between the smoke and fire. Yaha Dhuman Saha Agniman. And then we come to the Upanaya, again coming to the context. Without coming to the context, simply using all these things is not of no use. So we come to the context and then we conclude. So all these 5 sentences are needed. It is the understanding of Nyaya Bhashya. But whether all these sentences are needed or not, that we need to discuss. There are many other views, because Pratijna, Hetu, Udaharana, these 3 are enough. No need to have again Upanaya and Nigamana. Coming to the context, because we are already in the context. Parartha, Agniman, this mountain has got fire. We have put the context in front of us. We have shown the reason and we have shown the Vyapti also. That's all. There is no need to come to the context and again conclusion again. So these 2 parts, Upanaya and Nigamana, they are not needed. It is one view of the Bhattam Mimamsakas. Or you use Udaharana, Upanaya, Nigamana. Just you show the example, wherever there is a smoke and there is a fire, come to the context, this mountain has got the smoke, then you conclude, this has got the fire. It is over. You need not repeat the 2 things. It is one, Bhattam Mimamsaka says, Udaharana and Upanaya, that's all. No need to have the Pratijna also. It is the view of Bauddhas. Simply show the relation in a instance where there is a smoke and there is a fire, and you say this mountain has got smoke, that's all. He will understand, the intelligent man will understand certainly without any trouble. So it is the view of Bauddhas. So Vedantins also sometimes they use 3 sentences, Pratijna, Hetu, Udaharana. And also there may be other ways of understanding using the same sentences. You can include the Hetu in the Pratijna itself. Because of this mountain has got fire, smoke, then it must be having fire. Dhumavan Parvataha Agniman. It is a sentence which has got the Pratijna and also Hetu. So such things are very much possible. So there is no need of having a strict rule of having 5 sentences. It is one very important thing that has come up after the Nyaya Bhasha and all other things. Mimamsakas and Vedantins and Bauddhas, they have argued in different ways. So the very important thing is to understand the Vyapti. Because of the relation of this Vyapti only, we are having the cognition of or knowledge of the fire in the mountain. That's why the Vyapti is very important thing. And another very important thing is that the reason must be valid. The reason must be valid means it has got 2 very important places. One is that Vyapti, the reason Dhuma, it should have the Vyapti with the smoke that is going to be inferred. And another thing is, it should be in the proper place. If smoke is there in kitchen, it does not guarantee the fire in the mountain. So there should be smoke in the mountain, then only we can infer the fire in the mountain. So it should be in proper place. So these are very important things in the structure of Anumana. It is what they hold. And then how we get the cognition of Vyapti? That we have already seen, Pratyaksha, Anumana and Agama. Because these people say Vyatireka Vyapti. Vyatireka Vyapti guarantees the Anvaya Vyapti. If there is no fire, there is no smoke. So this smoke has got relation with the fire. That kind of passive Vyapti guarantees the positive Vyapti. And there are many other examples also. In that way, we can get the cognition of Vyapti both by Pratyaksha, Anumana and Agama. So this is the view. And because it is foolproof, there is no 99% probability. It is 100% probability. If there is no Vyapti, this Anumana does not work. But the formal structure of the formal logic, they are all free and they work by themselves without the problem of the truth or possibility of the positive or subjective truth. That is the difference between the Indian point of logic and the Western point of logic.